Running on the trail out here, waiting on Kim. Morning the hell out. It's raining. We didn't take the day off. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. My headphones on. Got on my Bose quiet speaker headphones. Doing what I can. Jim, right? I don't know if you remember me. My name is Rico. I wrote it down in case you forget. You know, I took a year off from running. I retired and I just stayed home and started working. I'm now a social media content creator on YouTube and stuff and TikTok. I took a year off from running and my goodness, does it suck getting back at it. How you holding up? I think last year I saw you were coming back from an injury.
Yeah, I'm healthy now. I'm just not running very well.
Yeah? Right? How old are you now?
67.
67. Oh my goodness. You're awesome. This is my significant other here. She's running.
Oh,
Wait, you know.
that's awesome.
Yeah. She won't let me take a day off. She's pushing me. I appreciate her. Good job, sweetie. What's up, y'all? I hope you guys can hear me. Keep going, sweetie. I'll be right here. We went running this morning. It's raining. We don't care. The mud got a little bit best of me and my footing. You know, when you run this trail every day, you meet people. And Jim out here, I believe Jim, you a retired Marine?
No.
No? Are you military at all?
Yeah, Air Force.
Air Force.
12 years. I'm not retired.
You're not retired? I just retired after 21 years. I wish it on nobody.
Oh, no. I didn't have any problem with it.
No.
My wife had the problem.
Oh, fair enough.
I wouldn't have got out.
My first two wives had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them just don't want to move. They're afraid to make you do it.
It's a nomadic profession. And for me, I ended up, becoming a cyber guy, and I work for the NSA. And there's only two places to go, DC or here. And the first wife, all her family lived down in Florida.
Yeah, but that ain't that far away.
7-hour drive.
Out where in Florida?
Orlando.
Oh, that's just midway down. I retired from the city of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
After I got out of the Air Force.
Sure.
I went to work for them about 15 years. And I don't regret that either because I enjoyed it.
What brought you here?
Well, I got nephews,
Family?
my sister.
Nearby?
Yeah, they came down actually to visit me and then said, when you retire, come up there because we got
Sure.
all kinds of space. I live on like 5 acres of land.
Okay.
But
My whole family lives out in California. And I've been out there twice in 20 years.
what part of California?
Southern California, Palm Springs area.
That's
Shell
desert,
Valley.
isn't it?
Say again?
That's more desert, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a very, very low desert, hot as hell.
It's not humid though. It's just
No,
dry.
it's not humid. It'll burn you. It'll just hurt. But they lived there my whole lives.
Guam was like that.
Yeah.
I was in Guam for 3 years.
Okay, yeah. I thought Guam was pretty, I went to Guam for a 3-week mission, and it was pretty humid when I was there.
It's 90 degrees every day.
Yeah.
There's no change of season. So
Nothing.
you're either going to adapt or learn to stay inside
Yeah.
during those hours. If you want to do something, you do it real early in the morning.
I just stayed inside of the air conditioners. I can't get acclimated to that. I'm going to keep walking, Jim. Good to see you this morning.
3 weeks, 3 months. You're not there for a long time. Like it, do the acclimation process.
Sure. Have a blessed morning. Keep working hard. Good job, sweetie. All right, y'all. I'm here. I'm ready to answer your questions. Transfer portal Q&A this morning. Any questions you got, I'll try to answer. I'm obviously walking in the woods. We have a 2-mile cool down walk. Got up early this morning, saw it was raining. Kim said, I don't care. We're running. I said, all right, sweetie. I ran. Did you do good, baby? I'm so proud of you. I missed my goal by like a minute. But it was just as good as yesterday. It was just the mud and the dodging of the puddles. Yeah, I've known Jim for a really long time. Yeah, like 7 years. He comes out here and runs. He's 67. Let me tell you, Uh, there's been days he's beat me. Not every day, but there's been days he's beat me. That man is just running. He runs every day. His family lives out in the country nearby, and they gave him 5 acres to live on and call it a day. So he just works the land and lives there. Yep, I think he lives in a trailer. Yo, Rico, I know you're making a lot of money now, but do you invest for the future? Yeah. I don't necessarily invest in stocks and the stock market anymore. I liquidated about 2 years ago. I could peel the curtain back a little bit. So 2 years ago, I was going through a divorce, and I needed to figure out what I really owned and what I really had, and start preparing for a life after the army and after that divorce. So I kind of liquidated everything and downsized immensely. So I had a 5-bedroom house. I sold it. Had all my investments, liquidated them, got sold everything, and just sat on a big stack of cash for a little bit, for about a year, and just try to do the math on how long I could stretch it, whether or not I needed to work, what job I needed to get, things like that. And then I still left my TSP, so that's a thrift savings plan. It's a traditional Roth IRA type deal. So it's a 50-50 in both of those. This year, I looked into something called SEP IRA and self-employment IRA. But the deal with that is you can only put in 25% of your net earnings into the SEP IRA, which that you earn while self-employed. So what you're doing is you're deferring your taxes. So if you had to pay taxes on your income, you can take 25% and hide it in the SEP IRA. But the reality is when you go to pull it out later in life, you have to pay taxes on it then. So you're really not even avoiding taxes. You're just deferring taxes. So there's that. One other thing I did, or I'm doing, is I'm getting ready to buy a house this year, hopefully. And it's looking dim because my taxes haven't been filed yet. My accountant's still working some shit. Should be filed here before, I'd say in the next 2 weeks for sure. And then once we find out what that is, then we have a bottom line, amount of money. But what we have to do, I wish, okay. So the majority of my income is during football season. Vast majority of it. I make an absorbent amount of money during football season. Out of football season, I think I make obviously more than like a job, like any job I could go get from Indeed or all that other stuff. But is it enough to keep saving and keep pushing away? I don't know. So yeah, it's a good problem to have. It's one of those things where I don't really have to stress that aspect of life anymore. It just happens. But I'm not a reckless investor. I don't do anything too volatile. I'm not trying to get rich quick schemes. I don't chase anything. I don't give a shit about any quote unquote investment ideas or any of that stuff. I'm very slow and methodical. And if that means I miss the boat on X amount of money or whatever, I don't care. As long as I have enough to feed my kids and I never have to do anything I don't want to do for the rest of my life, I'm good. A prime example would be like working for somebody and somebody says, hey, you need to be at work at this time on this day. If I don't want to, I won't do it, right? And a lot of people in this world don't have that luxury, and I do. So I'll never work for anyone in my life. I've turned down plenty of sponsorship deals, plenty of inquiries about radio segment hours and all this shit. I just can't. I'm not chasing blowing up my channel. I always get a comment, hey, Rico, you'd really blow up if you just did more of this or more of that. I really don't like casual fans. I don't like people who casually watch me because they casually ignore me, right? I like my MVPs. I like the memberships. I like the members, not subscribers and followers. That doesn't really move me. I don't chase subscribers and followers. Memberships, MVPs, totally different story. Shout out to Patreon. Shout out to YouTube for the memberships. Subscribers and followers, those are just average ass people clicking on my videos. I appreciate them, but it's not something I'm chasing. So that's how that goes. Sounds good, bro. Thank you very much. Do you think that Penix could beat out Kirk in 1 to 2 years? No, I don't think Penix can beat out Kirk in 1 to 2 years. I think the Falcons will give Penix the reins in 1 or 2 years, but I don't think he's going to beat him out. Everybody needs to understand the NFL is not about beating out a player. The NFL is not a valid competition for positions. It is about how much money you've invested in certain players. And if you have money invested in that player, they will be on the field, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter if somebody's doing better at practice. There are plenty of 100-yard rushers in the preseason getting cut. There are plenty of players kicking ass at practice getting cut. And it's because they have financial investment in other players. So this is why I don't watch the NFL. I watch good players get sent to the practice squad out of sheer investment in other players. It's crazy. It's almost like you're in a piece of shit marriage and you stay together because you have a larger investment in the home you share. You have shared investments, shared, liabilities, whatever it is, and you won't even go pick a better person because you're so entrenched with this person. That's exactly what it's like. And the NFL does that times 53. Very few cases will they let the better players start if they're making less money. I would say it's actually like a nuance, not a nuance, an anecdote when they do it, right? Like somebody will chime in and be like, what about when they drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round and he beat out Matt Flynn? And I'll just be like, yeah, that's the one instance in the history of football that you can make and everybody talks about it. But, I just watched Zeke Elliott be the starting running back for the Cowboys for the last 3 years, and he was not the best running back on the team for 3 years, right? It doesn't matter. He's the starter because they gave him more money. And that happens on a lot of teams. And I'm sure the locker room knows it. The locker room talks about it. Hey, we got a guy at practice kicking ass and taking names, and the coaching staff won't give him the reins because they have more money than some other dude. It's very, very normal in the NFL. That's why I won't support the NFL. One of the reasons I won't support the NFL. I still don't know why the Falcons took him at 8. It doesn't make their first string or make their team immediately better. So there's a couple things you can do with that, okay? So if you're a general manager and you're worried about job security, what you do is you draft a quarterback, and the quarterback will then buy you 3 to 4 years before you get fired because you're associated with that starting quarterback. They're not going to fire you until they see what they've made of that quarterback, right? It's what the guy, is it Ballard? The guy with the Colts. So he missed on multiple quarterbacks. He missed on, who's the guy from North Dakota State? The dude who broke both ankles in the same play. Former MVP candidate. Forgetting his name right now. Missed on him, missed on Matt Ryan. And when you miss on 2 quarterbacks like that back to back, Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, back to back. You had 2 terrible seasons. You're about to get fired. What do? You go and draft Anthony Richardson. And now you have 4 years before they can really fire you because you might have drafted the franchise quarterback. We got to see how it pans out. And that's exactly what these GMs are doing. When you see them draft a quarterback, it's their way of telling the ownership, don't fire me until we see whether or not I got the guy. It's just a crock of shit, man. You got to pay attention to the rest of the deals. People always talk about flops. People always talk about draft flops and whether or not somebody was a flop. And I'm going to tell you, the staff, the scouting department, the general manager, those guys are bigger flops than the player. Like if you traded 3 first-rounders to draft a guy and he doesn't pan out, who's worse, the player who didn't pan out or your bum ass for choosing to trade 3 players for that guy? See, I'm a firm believer some of these front office guys don't know their ass from a hole in the ground and don't know what they're doing. This is why I have a channel. This is why I don't miss. This is why I can make predictions and literally point out when they're going to fail. And that could be, the recruiting coordinator and player personnel coordinator at schools. Those guys are literally the GMs for each school. They're building the roster and picking the players that the coach is going to coach and use. They really are, in conjunction with the coach. But most of the time, those guys are evaluating the talent, the position coaches and these player personnel guys and everybody else. When you look at those guys, you're like, oh no, they don't know what they're doing. They're picking all the wrong shit. And that's why I have my channels, because I can identify it right away. It's not a joke. I liked your take on Coach Prime. I think professionalism is more important than playing. He's just dunking on his former players because they criticize how he handled things. Well, get a load of this. I got a DM this morning telling me Hermione McLean is going to stay at Colorado. Now, I don't know how true that is. I don't know if these kids are just passing rumors. I'm not going to post it and make a video about it, but it's a very interesting conversation. Like, people praise Coach Prime because of how great he was at football, but my biggest issue is the false promises. You know, the subtle underhand or the blacklisting behind closed doors. In other words, if other coaches aren't interested in a player, it's because they're calling for a recommendation. Coaches call and they ask, what type of teammate is he? What type of, practice player is he? Do players like him? Is he a good locker room guy? They ask those questions. Coaches don't call and ask how fast is his 40. Coaches don't call and ask about how he plays as a football player. They can see that on the film. Coaches ask how are his grades, or at least they do a transcript pull. So when coaches call another coaching staff and ask for a recommendation, and you don't give a glowing recommendation, you're blacklisting a player, right? You're being Eminem on Shave 45. Like, I'm not cool with that. And let me see something else. People will be like, well, you got to tell the truth and stuff. Do you have any idea the hit rate, the signing rate of Clemson football players in the transfer portal? Clemson players in the portal get signed by other teams 100% of the time. Go and look at the transfer portal for the last 3 years. Every single Clemson player jumps in the portal, finds a landing spot. You know why? They're getting glowing remarks from their coaching staff. Dabo and his staff is doing everything they can to get those kids signed to somewhere else because they genuinely like those kids. They genuinely know those kids, and they recruited them. Remember, Clemson doesn't build from the transfer portal. Clemson only builds from recruiting players. Now, they recruit their players, meaning they have equity with those players. They have relationships with those players. They've known them since high school. They know their families. They know everything. When you sign a player from the transfer portal, you don't know that player. You recruit them and court them for 3 weeks, bro. It's speed dating. It's straight up dating apps. This isn't your high school sweetheart. This isn't somebody you grew up with and matured with. This is, oh, I just saw you hit the portal. You look good. Swipe right. That's a whole different monster. So when you're used to recruiting via the transfer portal, swiping right on players, and doing this short courtship, you treat those players and you think that's how you form a bond and a relationship. And the reality is you might not do that with the high school recruits. You might not have that same invested interest in seeing them land on their feet like you do with the high school recruits, or like you do with some of your ex-players, right? Some of your ex-players from Jackson State, some of your ex-players from that you coached in high school. So if you coached a bunch of young men their whole lives, you might feel some type of way about them and talk positively about them. And then the inverse, you courted a prima donna and you don't care where they land. That's the nature of professionalism. That's the nature of the job that I believe Coach Prime is still learning. I believe his whole staff is still learning this. And it takes time. You look at Dabo and his staff, that's a decade of experience at the highest level, of the highest echelon, and winning at the highest level. We're not talking about one conference win a year. We're talking about national championships, recruiting the greatest players you've ever seen in college football history. And that's a different level of responsibility and understanding. So I think they're very well versed at finding landing spots for their players compared to some of these other transfers who aren't getting assistance from the coaching staff. There's a theory. It's like, well, if you're going to break up with somebody, who gives a shit where they go? Right, you ever had a girl? You break up with your girl, and you're like, I don't give a fuck where she goes. Just lock the door. Go. Step off. You don't care who she's with, what she's doing. But then there's those moments where you have somebody you genuinely care about, and you want them to be okay. You want them to find a new beginning and a happy spot. You don't want them to be homeless. So there's people who might have did you dirty and left you jaded. Or even worse, let's say you had a wife and you found somebody else and you think they're better in every which way, and you're just willing to cut sling, you're willing to just cut cut ties with them and move on with your mistress. It might take you 5, 6, 7 years before you look back and go, oh man, I did that wrong. That was ruthless. I should have never changed the locks. I shouldn't have called the cops and took all the money and whatever. You just got to kind of self-reflect a little bit. So it'll take time. It'll take time. No, I don't think Coach Prime will ever be a coordinator in the NFL. I don't think he'll ever be a coach in the NFL. You got to have a certain level of expertise. He has no expertise in coaching whatsoever. That is not it, bro. NFL coach, it's not about motivating. It's not about going out there being rah-rah. It's not about being charismatic. It's about X's and O's and schemes. And you can be a great player. That doesn't make you a great coach. Great players are not great coaches. They're not. They can easily do what others can't. Therefore, they can't. They struggle teaching you how to do it because they can just naturally do it, right? There's people. I've talked about this 100 times. If you're on the fringe of being athletic, on the fringe of being professional, you're probably one of the best coaches out there because you work for every single rep you ever got. You understand that you had to learn the fundamentals and grind, and that's why there's Pete Carrolls and Steve Kerrs and not Michael Jordans and Magic Johnsons, right? It's not about being the greatest ever. Champ Bailey is not a coach that you want hired. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You want Raheem Morris. You want the guys who are good enough to get exposure to the game at the highest level, so they learn all the advanced concepts and schemes. You do not want just a bunch of fucking all pros. It doesn't work that way, man. Terrell Owens, Warren Sapp, like, that's not what you want. You want the guys who had to earn for every rep. Earn every rep to get out there. Those are the best coaches. Period. This is the girl I was talking about, sweetie, when she was a little kid. She was a beast. And now, you got 7 years later, you got an adult, right? And she just crushes it every fucking day. What a beast. I love Coach Prime for what he represented, reinventing yourself. I don't know if he reinvented himself. He just went in a lane where he's got a foot in the door before everyone else, The fact that he chose a small program and took his kids there and gave them a platform is pretty unique. That was applauded. And that's about it. As far as reinventing yourself, not necessarily. Just taking advantage. That would be like saying, I don't know, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are reinventing themselves as TV personalities. It's not true. They're using their football fandom for popularity, and then they're on TV. If you want to know somebody who reinvented themselves, I would say that's Pat McAfee, right? Not these superstar players who get a seat at the table. They didn't reinvent themselves. So Coach Prime, being a superstar player, getting a seat at a coaching staff, what was unique was that he chose an HBCU. Not unique that he chose coaching. But now I feel like Coach Prime is starting to represent something else. No, at the end of the day, it's about getting, generational wealth for your family. At the end of the day, that's what it is. So you get your son on as a media mogul. You get your marginally talented kid to be a household name. You get your one talented kid to get talk as a top 10 pick and all this stuff. It's tough, man. You can't hate on the hustle, but you got to recognize it for what it is. You can't just concede that it's greatness or anything. It's just, you got to call a spade a spade. You just got to look at it and be like, oh, he dunks on his own players. And then when the players talk shit on him, yeah, that's true. And I think they're still struggling with the backlash. Remember, you got a locker room of 120-something people. Not everybody's going to like you. 120-something people, not everybody's going to like you. I got 15 people in here right now. I'm sure 3 people are just staring at me saying they hate the shit out of me, right? It happens, man. So you're in the locker room. Players aren't going to like you. And the ones who aren't going to like you are typically the ones not getting any playing time. And that's what people got to remember. So there's just a lot involved there. Meaning you got to take it with a grain of salt. You as a coach just got to be better. Like, I remember I was a coach and we didn't lose a game for 2 years. And every day after practice, there was always some parent snickering, but it wasn't the starters. It was some parent who wanted his son or his son to be in the game or at practice, get more reps, whatever. There's always somebody upset about something, and you can't please everyone. But the reality is, we're winning games, and you fast forward 20 years later, his son probably sells insurance and never was an athlete after that year. Like, they're delusional, and I guess sometimes you got to be. And you could even be delusional about your star player, right? I can remember when I was a kid, all anybody talked about how I was going to the NFL. We're all going to the NFL. There's 6 of us that were phenomenally talented. We're all going to the NFL. Well, only 2 of us went to the NFL. And when I came to the realization I wasn't going to get any faster, I'm just a 4.6 40 guy. Like, just looked around and went, oh, dude, these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You got to just come to grips with reality. I remember that day, just looking at myself in the mirror like, this ain't going to happen. And I don't think these people have that epiphany yet. I think a lot of people are still, you should read their Twitters. Read their Twitters. People are writing, I'm that guy, grinding, I'm going to make it. And it's like, no, you're not. You lied to you. But you tell the kids the truth, they can't handle it. Small guy going against the bully. Yeah, for sure. He's not necessarily the bully. Prime's not the bully. He's just, he's trying his best to placate both sides, right? He's trying his best to be classy, professional, not say anything negative about a young man in the media. But then his emotions get the best of him, and he's got to backlash and be primetime. Right? He's got to be primetime. He's got to be flashy and say some shit that'll shock the world type deal. Remember, this is the dude showing up in his tricked out golf cart. It's getting rained on out here. Or is it dripping off the tree? It's just dripping off the tree? Oh man, I'm hurting, y'all. I'm about to end this live and just relax. We got another mile. I appreciate you guys being here this morning. Thank you guys for the convo, I guess. The missus and I just got done running, doing our daily workout. I push myself pretty hard. I don't see the lizard on this thing. He's usually here. It's probably hiding from the rain, right? I bet there's a bunch of stuff living underneath that hole. Like on your shirt, that mosquito. Damn, I should have killed it. I don't want to hit your shoulder though. We're such beast, baby. I'm so proud of you. You try to kiss me, huh? You try to kiss me? I'm on cam, bro. This girl try to make out with me. This girl try to kiss me, bro. Can't let no girls kiss you on cam. You gotta keep your player card alive. I can't be a player. Ooh. Look at that big snake, babe. What if that vine was a snake? That'd be cool, huh? That's how it looks in India, I think. The Amazon or India. I got bit on my calf, I'm sure. Mosquito got me. Enjoy the day, and don't forget to listen to the new Kendrick track. It's fire. I really don't like Kendrick Lamar. I'm not a Kendrick Lamar guy. So I'm in Drake's corner no matter what. The thing I don't like about Kendrick is his flow is just not enjoyable to listen to. It might be his beat selection, but I really don't like you could be saying the most fire bar and it could be hitting and all the punchlines could be there. And I'll just be like, okay, I heard it. Like, I don't care. Like, I can remember when, who did that? Pusha T did that track against Drake, what was it, a couple years back, about his son, and Adonis or whatever his name is. So Pusha T puts out his track, but when Drake came back with Duppy, it was just so much more enjoyable. I really liked it. I like Drake's track way better. I like the way Drake delivers. I like his flow, his beat selection. I don't care. It's more enjoyable to the ear. You can say all the meanest punchlines you want. They just sound like trash. They really do. So I think the only trash rapper I've actually liked is Shaq. Remember when Shaq did his battle? His diss track against Lillard, Damian Lillard? Yeah, Damian Lillard. Beast rapper. Shaq was funny though. Shaq was, I got 3 rings. I do my thing. I bang on them, slang on them. some old school of elementary rhymes. It was funny. I liked it. But no, Kendrick, I can't mess with Kendrick. Not even a little bit. That's just where all those centipedes are, huh? Did you see them when you were running? So I gotta kill these things. They're trying to get to you, guys. I gotta protect my woman. The bugs are trying to eat us. That player never played for Prime. He was there for the previous coach. Y'all say anything. What are you talking about? The big one? Where the fuck did that come from? No one's even talking about Xavier Smith. No one said Xavier Smith played for Prime. What's wrong with you, big one? Where do you people come from, bro? Like, I'm serious, man. I got a problem. I think in school, you guys got word problems and just fucking melted, bro. I think the comprehension or lack thereof just dominated you. Let me give you an example. Jim is a vegetarian. I want you to find the lie in this paragraph. Jim is a vegetarian. For dinner, he had mashed potatoes and Salisbury steak. Jim also had a glass of orange juice. Where's the lie? You're going to be like, the lie is that Jim had orange juice for dinner. The lie is that Jim had Salisbury steak. You don't even understand what the fuck's going on, bro. Like, your guys' comprehension skills are ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Omi just chimed in with, that player never played for Prime. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Seriously. You think we don't know that he didn't play for Prime? Coach Prime was hired December 4th. That young man hit the transfer portal in the spring. What games do you think he played for Coach Prime? What are you talking about? Who the hell thinks he played any games for Coach Prime? You don't know what you're talking about. You won't be after you listen to the last one. You don't want to have anything to do with Drake. Yeah, I do. I rock with Drake. What up, Zane Fry? I rock with Drake. I rock with him. I rock roughs and stuff with my Afro puffs. Big one, you gotta respond. No, you don't gotta respond. That dude got no heartbeat. I was looking at UTEP's offered receivers, and there's this one kid, 5'7", named Jaden Riley in Atlanta. Real stud. Dude had 55 receptions, 1K yards in Georgia football. Shout out to you, 5800. I'm glad you're looking. What I'll tell you guys is UTEP's going to be on the map in Conference USA. You guys don't know. UTEP's going to be on the map. Scotty Walden is him. They got something brewing. They got a running back. They got a team. Don't you ever forget, UTEP got it. Kendrick accused him of being a pedo. So what? A pedo. A pedo. Dude, so what? People can just go out there and make accusations, and that makes it a hard-ass bar? That's ridiculous. Just start making up shit and make sure it hits. Kendrick's delivery is trash. I'm going to call Kendrick the trash man, because no, not the trash man. Who delivers the trash? That is the trash man, right? It is, man. He's a garbage truck, bro. He's a garbage truck. Feds are going to kick in the Drake's door like Diddy. Okay. Nobody's kicking indoors. Dude, UTEP has been offering some real studs. I looked in 0-star kit too. Yeah. You guys know how I feel about 0 stars. 0 stars to me just means the recruiting websites haven't even looked at the tape. Because when they look at somebody's tape, they immediately make them a 3-star. So it's just them being lazy and they haven't looked at the tape. Period. They get the kid's name from the university's website, and then they add them with a silhouette to 24/7. They're like, yeah, this kid, he's from here, from here. We'll put him on the website, but they never looked at his huddle tape. Now, I've seen 0 stars that my whole channel, my whole high school film review got started because of a running back named Caleb Love. He was a 0-star running back in Texas. He wrote me a message. I was like, hey, coach, can you look at my tape, man? I'm getting no love. I was like, I got you. So looked at the tape, made the video. 0-star running back out of Texas. 24 hours later, La Tech has hit me up. Hey, Mr. Rico, can we get that player's information and name? We'd like to get him in for a visit. Got his offer, got his visit. Didn't check back in with him. I don't know if it's a great thing, but I can tell you this. That's what started the channel, was Caleb Love. I want to say it was Caleb Love. It's Caleb for sure. I think it was Love. I go back and check. It's a while ago. It was obviously over a year ago. But that's what started. And then ever since then, we're just finding 0 stars everywhere. You'll see. Makari's the newest one. Makari's a Makari Tatum quarterback. He's a 0-star quarterback. I'm telling you right now, he's going to sign FBS. These morons don't know. Rico knows. Rico knows. Good morning. You have a blessed day. Thank you. Thank you. Says, I wish there was a more reliable recruiting site other than Rivals and 24/7. They really suck at evaluating talent. Yeah, man, listen to this. I talked about this last night on Twitter. And it's just stop reading all those websites. Like just start doing your own research. Just start looking at like all conference lists for high school teams. Start there. Start lists for high school teams. Start with all conference. And you just go and look up the players. Look up their huddle tape, whatever. Start doing your own talent evaluation. And you'll see how much more accurate you are. Like I've been doing it for 2 years now. I'm not missing, bro. I'll say a guy, hey, this guy, or there's a kid I was covering, he had no FBS offers, Tristan Abram. And Tristan Abram is a defensive end from the middle of America. Illinois, Indiana, somewhere around there. Illinois, maybe. Missouri, Kansas, somewhere. I watched his tape and said, yo, this is an FBS level talent. He don't have any FBS offers, but this is the guy. Homie went to all these camps. He got a K-State offer last week. Like, I don't need these websites to tell me somebody's 3, 4, 5-star players. Like that's bullshit, bro. Go do your research. You'll be more accurate than them. Don't ever trust an NFL scout's analysis. NFL scouts say the following thing. Bro, notice, NFL scout is such a vague term. There is not a name associated with it because those guys get fired every year. The NFL scouts use all these phrases, throws off platform and does this and that. Those NFL scouts get fired every year. Half the draft picks they evaluate get cut. They literally suck at their job. You can do so much better on your own. I do. Hey, well, I'm hitting the dead zone. I'm going to catch you guys later. You love my voice? That's what I'm talking about. My girl listens to it at night when she goes to bed. Oh, sweetie. I got that soothing voice. Hey, you know what's crazy? Kim's mom loves my voice. Kim's mom be listening to my voice. She turns down the treble, nothing but the bass, flips the speaker over, and rides it like private parts. Shout out to Howard Stern. She's like, say it deeper. I'm just going. You remember that? You don't know what I'm doing? All right. Peace, y'all.